Good day, everybody, or good evening, or good morning, wherever you are in this world. Welcome to our VCon, our June VCon on here. So this session is the QuickBooks Online Fundamental Series. So for this session and next session, we'll be talking about QuickBooks Online Fundamentals. So in this one, we're going to talk about QuickBooks Online Accountant. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So I understand maybe you got a pop-up saying that this was not qualifying for CPE credit, but it is qualifying for CPE credit. You're eligible for 1 hour of CPE. I will be giving you a couple CPE keywords sometime during this session, this next hour here. Please write them down because then you'll get a survey where you have to select the CPE keywords in the multiple choice questions on your screen. And if you're like me, I think I'm going to remember it, and then I get to the end and all the choices seem familiar to me on there. And then the CPE certificates will be emailed to you within about 3 weeks to the same email address you used to register for this session on here. And of course you have to keep a copy for your records. Just another note before we even get started is that we are working in the U.S. product today. So I know that we may have people attending from around the world, so you may see differences in your country than what I am showing you today. So just be aware of that. My name is M.B. Raymundi. I am a CPA from Trumbull, Connecticut, currently in Tennessee. I am advanced certified in both QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop, and anything else that Intuit will let me certify in. And I have been teaching QuickBooks for a long time. I have used QuickBooks Desktop since the DOS version, QuickBooks Online since I think I put my first client on in around 2002 or 2003. I don't know, I could log in and find out. But I'm always happy when I'm asked to present because I love QuickBooks and I love teaching, and I know that I can't really meet all of you, but I hope that we feel the connection, and if we see you at some other event, Scaling New Heights or QuickBooks Connect, then you will come up and introduce yourself to me. So I am very happy to be here with you today. For every session, we have learning objectives, and our learning objectives here are that, we want to know the benefits of QuickBooks Online Accountant and what features and how to sign up for it and how to locate your books inside QuickBooks Online Accountant. And then what are the next steps for learning to use QuickBooks Online? So that means our agenda is we're going to talk a little bit about Intuit and what the current industry trends are, and then actually get into QuickBooks Online Accountant so you can learn how to sign up for it and how to actually use it. So set up your team, understand your client dashboard, how to actually get around, and then look at your books. And then we'll talk about next steps. And depending on our timing, we will hopefully have time for Q&A at the end. I will also tell you that Woody Adams is on. Thank you, Woody. So he is also answering questions, so you can type them in the Q&A area, and he will try and get them answered in case we run out of time. So let's get started. I about Intuit. My guess is if you're a QBO user that you are a QBO user or a QuickBooks Desktop user, you probably know a little bit about Intuit, but I will tell you there are like 1.3 million small businesses using QuickBooks Online. And that's globally on there. And Intuit is, we think, the number one small to mid-sized business cloud accounting solution worldwide on there. So what did Intuit do? They created QuickBooks Desktop as well as QuickBooks Online. They're in 200 or more countries in 40-plus languages. They have revenues of $4.2 billion on there. So I think the 1.3+ million small, mid-sized businesses using QuickBooks Online is really pretty impressive, isn't it? I mean, it's a great company on there. So when we talk about current industry trends, there are several trends that are impacting the accounting industry, which is paving the way for firms to take the necessary steps to ensure our future success, because we need to grow with what those trends are. And the good thing is Intuit is pretty committed to helping us navigate these transformational changes on there. So one of the trends is, this huge platform shift to the cloud. And what we like about it is that the information is accessible to us and is always up to date. There's no need to go back to the office to enter customer information. That anytime, anywhere access, that is the beauty of QBO, right? We have information at our fingertips, and you'll learn in the next session about the apps. So there's mobile apps as well as desktop apps to help us use QBO that, again, anytime, anywhere access, as long as we have access to the Internet at all. What that also does for us is it expands the geographies that we can serve, right? So we don't have to be tied to our geographical area, but we can branch out and do whatever we need to do there. So we have this world without borders. At this point, I don't have any clients that are outside the U.S., but I have clients all over the U.S., and I know a lot of pro-advisors that do work in other countries too, even though they're U.S. pro-advisors. And certainly the other countries that are on this call that you may be part of the pro-advisor program, again, you could have U.S.-based clients as well as your country clients on there. So the trend to move to the cloud and have that anytime, anywhere access really helps us on there and is a reason why we want to move to an online solution. Another trend is the data available to us. So the insights and interpretations of the data that we have available to us helps us be more proactive with our clients. And the other thing with data is that things like the bank feeds and third-party apps that pull information from QBO, the idea that we have one touch or even zero touches to get information into our accounting system or out of our accounting system, and that seamlessly integrates, that makes us much more efficient, which then gives us more time to be the trusted advisor to our clients and, again, be more proactive with our clients. And then the third trend is really mobile first. I think mobile experience prevails, right? We want to be able to access information from any of our smart devices, or I have a Fitbit Surge, I think is my Fitbit. My text messages come in on it, right? So, and I know the Apple Watch, I think that you can do all sorts of things on the Apple Watch, so it's not even on my smartphone or my tablet. It could be on my wrist too, which is really pretty cool there. And what car, there's some car that just, automobile that came out that it is basically a computer where you can do anything on there. So pretty nice that we have these trends, and it gives us the ability to go ahead and expand our practice here. So mobility is on the rise globally, and this is a study that Intuit had commissioned on there. 93% of small businesses are using mobile devices. So you look at the stats up here, 81% smartphones, 48% tablets, 71% an actual computer, and then only 18% have the landlines anymore. So I keep my landline because that's the phone number I give to anybody that's not a client of mine. So all the solicitors and that have the landline, and we hardly ever answer that phone there at all. So, really good information that we have here. Now, 65% of small businesses depend on the cloud for their back office needs, like bookkeeping and accounting. And 2 years ago, just 38% of small to mid-size and large businesses had adopted the cloud. So you can see the trend is really moving forward there. Nearly half, 43% of small business owners use a smartphone as the primary device to run their operations. In 2012, this was just 28% among businesses with 1 to 4 employees. And there, again, a poll that was done this employers group small business opinion poll there. Our businesses want to access data in a convenient way from anywhere. And 65% said they use cloud for invoicing and accepting payments. 2 years ago, 34%, up to 65%, almost double. And it is giving you really good information and really helps us on there. But that's not all. By 2020, Intuit predicts that 80% of American small businesses will be cloud adapted on there. So, and I'm not sure what the global statistics are for that. So the issue is that accounting firms are not adapting as quickly. I'm an accountant. I can say this, that we are slow to embrace change. Maybe not those on this webinar because we're in a virtual conference, right? So that's pretty progressive, isn't it? We're not having to go there. But as a kind of industry on that, accounting firms are not adapting very quickly. The CPA.com did a study and found that only 8% of accounting professionals think that the profession is future ready today. And when you think that 75%, and this is scary because I guess I'm maybe in this category here, when you consider that 75% of accounting professionals will be reaching retirement age in 2020, that gives a significant amount of work left to be done in order to transition into like this firm of the future. Now the good thing is we can begin this work, we can begin to embrace these trends and move online by using QuickBooks Online Accountant and transitioning our clients to QuickBooks Online. So the good thing about QuickBooks Online, it's simple, it's open, it's a connected platform. And again, what did we just see? 1.3 million subscribers worldwide there. And what more new businesses or more new subscribers to the QuickBooks ecosystem are signing up for QuickBooks Online than are signing up for QuickBooks Desktop. Our clients want to have access to all their information and data anytime, anywhere, and things like QuickBooks Online will do that. And then I don't know how many apps are in apps.com that integrate with QBO, and the average small business owner uses 18 apps to run their business every day. So we need to go ahead and figure out which apps are going to be best serve our clients there. So yes, we have benefits to us, but obviously there's benefits for QBO, not QBOA, QuickBooks Online Accountant, but QuickBooks Online itself. There's a lot of benefits for our clients. Computer data files that are locally stored are not any less prone to getting corrupted, being stolen, breached, destroyed. When Hurricane Sandy came in a few years ago on the East Coast, because I'm from the East Coast, I still remember meeting one of the CPAs at a tax show, and she came in with her warped discs because her office had been completely flooded there and said, I need to do something. I need these QuickBooks discs. I don't have my registration number, but here's the disc. Of course, you couldn't read anything on it because it had been soaked on there. And our small businesses are notorious for not keeping things really very secure on there. So storing data in the cloud is actually more secure and more conveniently accessed for those who have the appropriate permission on there. So the beauty of cloud technology is that it disrupts the old way of buying IT, which involves large capital investments, eliminating, and paying not only large capital investment, but the ongoing fee to maintain the setup, the hardware and software setup in a more server environment on there. So cloud computing is pretty elastic and scalable and pay as you go. So when I'm talking to clients about QuickBooks Online, I'm basically saying that they don't have to put a lot out. They can even up their cash flow by by paying a monthly subscription, though QBO will give you a discount if you pay for 12 months in advance there. So when we're talking about QuickBooks Online, which is at qbo.intuit.com, it offers free tech support. One of the questions people say is, well, how secure it is. I don't want to put my financial information up into the cloud. Well, it's banking, financial institution level security, if not even better on there. So everything is encrypted on there. You have free cloud storage, so they can attach documents or pictures or whatever they want to their transactions. And in fact, I just heard not only their transactions, but their lists on there. They don't have to worry about backups. They don't have to worry about installing anything. And of course, having that anytime, anywhere access is just absolutely awesome. So we have our first CPE keyword. So our first CPE keyword is Ant-Man. Ant-Man. I don't even know what Ant-Man looks like. Does Ant-Man have 6 legs and a head or something? I don't know. I guess I have to look up my superheroes or comic characters or whoever what Ant-Man is. So I am going to say Ant-Man several times, and then when I get off this slide, don't put the question in the Q&A section because we are not allowed to give it to you once we get off this slide. So Ant-Man going once, Ant-Man going twice, Ant-Man, we are moving to the next slide. So, the $64,000 question is QuickBooks Online right for your clients? And you really have to do a needs assessment, and you really have to know who your client is, right? What their strengths and their weaknesses are. Yes, it's as anytime, anywhere access. So it's definitely, if you're moving a client, when you're trying to figure out that first client to move to QuickBooks Online, is that client comfortable with computers and working online? That's a really good question, right? Would they benefit from the basic business reports? Are they always on the go, so they need that not only anytime, anywhere access, but from their mobile devices or any kind of smart device or their laptop if they carry it around? So these are kinds of the questions, and these are suggestions on who QuickBooks Online might be right for. So comfortable working online. Definitely service-based businesses, any kind of service-based business on there, some of the product-based businesses, and maybe even most all of the product-based businesses when you add on a third-party app. So you can't do any manufacturing in QuickBooks Online, but there are third-party apps that will expand that functionality and allow you to go ahead and do that. If they want a low or no maintenance solution on there, if they need a product that will grow with them, and again, certainly with the whole QuickBooks ecosystem, the QBO, you can really expand a lot on there. And then, again, what kinds of reports do they need? And then the other thing with our reports is that there are third-party reporting apps that even give you better business metrics. So what is this QuickBooks Online ecosystem? It's a single open platform that allows QuickBooks Online to integrate seamlessly with services, Intuit services, like banking is built into it, Intuit Payroll, QuickBooks Payroll, payment systems, and then all these third-party apps. And it's also, and I didn't talk about this before as a benefit to our client, but it definitely should be, is that it's operating system agnostic. So it's really accessible from anywhere in the planet on a PC, on a Windows device, on a Mac device, and then on any kind of smart device on there. So really any number of mobile devices, which is really helpful. Now it is mobile ready. So the beauty of that is that you can view and edit your customer information. You can send invoices and estimates on there. It's available. You can access on your iPad, iPhone, Android phone, Android tablet on there. You can add photos and notes. You can record payments and check your latest figures. So you can't do everything on the mobile app, but you can do a lot on the mobile app. And what I find, and I've been talking to a lot of clients about this recently, ones that have, I have a client that is a driving service, and the drivers are, you know, they get reimbursed for their expenses, or they may have a company credit card, but they need to turn in their receipts. So if we sign them up for QBO in the mobile app, depending on who the driver is, right, they can take a picture of the receipt, and even if they don't enter the expense, they can attach it to a note so that it goes up into QBO in the attachment area, that then the person back at the office, or from their smart device, they don't have to be at the office, right, can go ahead and create that expense. So a lot of things that you can do directly in the mobile app, not everything, but a lot, and certainly you want to consider it to make sure that you are recording your expenses on there. So that's kind of QuickBooks Online. So, oops, let me go back one. Sorry about that. Let me go forward one on there. So what is a QuickBooks Online Accountant? So QuickBooks Online Accountant, which we also call QBOA, is this portal or this overlay that we as accounting, bookkeeping, small business consultants have a place to manage and access all of our client files, particularly that are using QBO, QuickBooks Online, and also allows us management of our firm team members, and we have a free subscription to QuickBooks Online of QBO Plus on there, where we can access our books on there. So you want to be signed up for QuickBooks Online Accountant if you are serving multiple clients that are using QuickBooks Online. Now, QBOA is different for different countries, so be aware of that. So if you are attending this webinar, what you see on your screen when you log in may be a little bit different than what I am showing you here. Okay, so now we are going to go take a look at QuickBooks Online Accountant. So the QuickBooks Online Accountant, and I'll switch over to it. This is the first thing on here. We log into QBO.intuit.com. We see our firm, and we see it with our list of clients. So the first question you might have is, how do I sign up for QuickBooks Online Accountant? So one way we can do that is if we go to QuickBooks.com and go under the Accountant's drop-down menu, then we can see QuickBooks Online Accountant, and you can sign up for it. It's free. We're not paying anything extra for that. Another way that we get signed up for QuickBooks Online Accountant, I must have gotten signed out of here, is if our clients ask us to be the accountant user. Let me just go switch back to my other screen. And I will go in to a client and show you how that all works. So when I am logged into my client, or when my client is logged in, if they go under the big gear icon and they click on Manage Users, they have the ability to add 2 accounting firms or bookkeeping firms, and once they send you an invitation and you get an email and you accept that invitation, you will be signed up for QBOA. So that's another way how we can go ahead and sign up for QBOA. So what happens is then we log into QBO.intuit.com, right, and here's what we see. There's 4 places where we go in QuickBooks Online Accountant when we're looking for something. So we have our left-hand navigation bar, where we have our clients, our team, our ProAdvisor membership, and our books. We have at the top, we have what's called Quick Create, and Quick Create allows us to add a client, add a user, or create a request. We have the search bar, where we can search for information, and we have or search box, and then we have the big gear icon. Now, the big gear icon is a little bit different in QBOA than it is in QBO, in QuickBooks Online. So different in QuickBooks Online Accountant than it is in QuickBooks Online. So we can manage our account, we can manage our team, and we can get to a sample company file right from here. I'm not going to do that now because what it does is it signs us out of QBOA when we open the sample file. But certainly if you want to get familiar with QBO, that would be a good place to go ahead and open up the sample file. So the first thing I'm going to come back to the clients page because typically if our client asks us to be the accountant user or we sign up for QBOA, we want to make sure we get our team members set up. So I can do that from the Quick Create, right, at the top when I'm in QBOA. I can add a new user, which is a team member, or I can click on the team from the left-hand navigation bar and click on Add New User. So when we're adding a new user, we need to put in their name and their address. And again, if you're not from the U.S., your experience might be a little bit different. I click on Next, and it says, okay, let's specify the access to the firm's administrations and the firm's books. So you have basic, full, or custom, but basically it's saying, what access do you have to the firm administration? So what can they do with the firm information? What can they do? Can they add new users or can they view the other users? And how about subscriptions and billing? Now, when we get signed up for QBOA, we have a free subscription to QBO that you can put your own firm's books on. So the other question when you add a team member is what access do they have to your firm's books on there, your free subscription. So most of my team members, they're not going to have any access to that. But if I have an internal bookkeeper who does my books, I'm going to give that person full access to customers and receivables and vendors and credits. So you need to determine that. And by the way, when you think about your team doesn't necessarily have to be an employee. I work with other pro-advisors. I have one employee, and I work with who's on my team, but I also work with other pro-advisors occasionally and bring them in to work on a particular client. So I add them as a team member and only give them access to certain clients because that's step number 3. So when I add a team member, I set up their user profile, I set up their permissions for firm administration and books, and when I click on Next, it says, well, what clients do they have access to? And I can choose, I can just give them access so that when they log in, so if I clicked on Save, which I'm not going to do, but if I clicked on Save, it would actually send out an email to my team member, the one that I'm just setting up, that they would have to accept the invite and log in with their Intuit ID, and they would only see their clients listed there depending on what access I gave them. So pretty handy to have the team set up, and think about it, it really expands the ability of how many users can you have in QBO, right? So we have 2 accounting kind of users, but then I can have, I think, as many team members as I want. So I get signed up for QBO, I get my team set up, I make sure my clients invite me as the accountant user. And when I log into QBO, the client dashboard is the first thing that comes up. So what do I have? I have one login, and I have a listing of all of my clients here. And when I want to get into a client, I can click on the green QB. Well, what if we want to add a client? So let's talk about adding a client. We can do that from Quick Create. where I add new client. I can do it from my client dashboard and click on Add New Client. Again, 3 easy steps. Need to put in the company name. Okay, MB's VCon. I would put in the email address. I'd put in the phone number. Don't have to do it now, but I can. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is what product are we getting for them? So our choices are QuickBooks Essentials with either QuickBooks Online Payroll, which is built in kind of a do-it-yourself product, or full service payroll, or with Intuit Tax Online, or QuickBooks Plus. So there's 3 levels of subscriptions that we'll go over right at the very end of this, but we can sign them up for either Essentials or Plus, and then with payroll and with taxes on there. So let's say I'm going to just sign them up for QuickBooks Plus. So the next thing is who's going to pay? Now, by the way, there's a link here where you can compare products so you can see the differences between the different levels of QBO. So our billing choices are my client will pay, and if my client pays, here's the current promotion, which is $16 off per month for the first year, so $24 per month for the first year, and then it's going to go up to $40. And my other choice is my firm will pay. So when I am setting up a new client, and I'll talk a little bit more about wholesale billing once we get through here, is that I get wholesale billing. Well, what does that mean? It means I get 50% off for the life of the subscription. What it also means, just what it says, is that my firm will pay. So I get one consolidated bill from Intuit for everybody I have on wholesale billing, and then I build it into my monthly fee or charge it separately to my client, however I want to do that. So you decide who's going to pay, and then you can see what the promotions are, which is pretty cool. And then who's going to be the master administrator? And my client is going to be the master admin, or I'm going to be the master admin. And then I would put in the client email, and it would have to be re-entered on there. So let's just put in an email. I'm not setting up this client yet. That's not my email address, by the way. And then I click on Next. So I choose my product, put in the basic information, choose my product, and then what team members are going to have access to this new client. So I get that set up, and then I would save it. I am not going to save it. We've got enough on there. But that's basically how you set up a new client there. So who pays for it? Who has access to it? Okay, so as I said before, getting around QuickBooks Online Accountant, QBOA, let's just go over our toolbar, and then we'll go through down our left-hand navigation bar. So this green box here doesn't have a whole lot of significance when we're in QBOA, but if we're actually in a client's books in their QBO, and we want to get back to QBOA, we're going to click on this QB Accountant. The other thing that we have, which again is not as important when I'm in QBOA, but is important when I'm in a client's books, is I don't have to go back to QBOA to switch clients. I can easily switch by clicking on this company drop-down, or what we call the client switcher, and switch back and forth between my different clients. And then we have Quick Create. So we looked at Quick Create. When we're in QBOA, we can add a new client, we can add a new user, which is a team member, or we can create a new request for documents, which I'll show you in a moment. And then we had the search box. Then we have the big gear icon. And by the way, let me show you, is if you go, a lot of these have to do with my books, right, my subscription to QBO, but when I click on my account, one of the questions we commonly get is, oh, I like this wholesale billing. I will build it into my fee and maybe charge them a little bit more than that 50%, you know, kind of in my mind. So if I already have a client who's using QBO, can I add them to my wholesale subscription? And the answer is yes. So I would come in here, put in my billing information, and then say I want to move a client to wholesale. So now Intuit would charge me rather than charging the client. Now conversely, if I want to take a client off of wholesale billing, I also am going to go to the big gear icon, and under here, under wholesale billing, I will be able to remove them from that. And then the client will get an email saying, hey, you better put in your credit card information because otherwise we're going to make your subscription inactive or cancel your subscription on there. So under your account is where you can handle that wholesale billing as well as your regular information on there. And of course we have a help button, which is nice, so I can search for help. And one of the good things about QBO, free support. And if we're a pro advisor, we have different levels of support. I happen to be diamond level on here. I can do a live chat, chat now, or call support. And then we've got also, I can just search for help. So that's our green toolbar that's going across the top of the page. When we go and look at the left-hand navigation bar, we are back to our clients. So we will take a look at that. We have, we'll come back to that. We have our team members. So again, I see a listing of all my team members. And if I want to edit them, I can just click on them and edit them. So are they active? If they're gone, I'm going to make them inactive so that they don't show up on there. And then the same 3 questions. So user profile, firm admin books, and client access. Now the other thing that we do from QBOA now is manage our Pro Advisor membership. So when we look under our Pro Advisor membership on here, it says what level are you, where you find, this is where you're going to find your certifications. So I'm diamond level support because I have 23 QBO clients, but I'm not QBO certified. So this is where I can come and see where training is offered, as well as the self-paced training and the supplemental guides where you can actually take the exam. You also have your profile, so once you are certified, you can publish your profile out at the Find a Pro Advisor site. You can find additional training from within the Pro Advisor portal here. You can see what discounts are offered for you or for your clients, and then there's all sorts of resources. So when you look there, growing your practice, 9+ creative ways to recruit and retain clients, a set of 6 sample engagement letters, 11 steps to moving your practice to QuickBooks Online or Practice Online, value pricing, so a little video on that, HR and employee management advice, mobile app for your clients. I haven't clicked on that. I don't know what that is. And then whatever notifications. So again, clients, team, Pro Advisor, and that's kind of managing my practice. And then when I look on your books, now I am in my free subscription to QBO. So again, I get a free subscription to QBO Plus with payroll because I am signed up for QuickBooks Online Accountant and I'm a Pro Advisor. When we go back to our practice, I want to spend a few minutes on your clients and what the client is all about here. So first of all, we have a listing of our clients, and if we have a lot of clients there, I can easily search for them in this search box. So we only have 4 listed active right here. So we see them listed, and notice I have a little piece of paper here. So when I click on my piece of paper, I have this Don't Call Before Noon, and it brings me to the client detail page, which we'll go over in just a moment. Then under our bookkeeping, we have our status. So one would think if one clicked on the client's name, you would get into QBO. But the way you get into QBO is to actually click on the green QB, and that will bring me into my client's QBO. The other thing I really like about this client dashboard is it gives me a great overview of kind of what's going on with my clients. So Beautiful Landscapes has, for my review, unaccepted transactions, and 2 more items. Larry's Landscaping, they made 3 changes to closed books and 3 more items. I can see when the bank feeds last downloaded, so if there's a problem, then I will be able to see that. So I can, so changes to closed books, changes to reconcile transactions, I'm going to see all that right at a glance for all of my clients. If I have payroll set up for them, I'm going to see what their status is when they are supposed to, like when their next payroll is, if they have tax forms due or liability payments due, I'm going to see that here. If I have a client that I'm using the trial balance tool with and Intuit Tax Online, I can see information related to that. And then the last thing that we have here on our requests on there. So let's go into the client detail page, and I will talk more about requests. So remember, this said 78 unaccepted transactions plus 2 more items. So when I click on really basically anything but the green QB, not anything, but the name, the note, the hyperlinks in the bookkeeping status, it is going to bring us into the client detail page. So again, we would see all of the information. We could email them right at the top. We can see if the closing date was set on their books and when the last sign-in date is, when the last download was, so that we're looking at the bookkeeping tab. What are we seeing? We're seeing a listing of their accounts, what the current balances are, what is last unreconciled. So remember, it said 78 unaccepted transactions plus 2 more items for your review. My other reviews are check without payee and changes to reconciled transactions on here. If I click on review now, it's going to bring me into their QBO so that I can take a look at it. I also see what subscription level they are. So again, a lot of good information. If they're signed up for payroll, I may see information here related. Right now our payroll status setup is incomplete, so I can look at recent tax payments, recent form filings right here. Now the other thing that I have is the ability to request documents or information from our clients. So I can do it from Quick Create, I can do it from the client dashboard, I can do it from the client detail page. So I come in here and say, I want to create a new request for which user? Well, I'll send it here to Jennifer, and what's my subject? Statements needed. Please send the following docs for May, and then I can actually list them down here. BOA, checking, BOA, savings, Amex, and then I could add more documents. So this is powered by Box.com. And so I can send this out. I can actually kind of make it a task by putting a due date on it. And, you know, I would like this by the end of the week, so I put that on there. And when I email it, when my client, even if they attach the document to the email, it's going to come back in here if it's attached to that email request that I sent them on there. So we have our preview of our email. And there, notice also we can attach the file. So maybe I have an engagement letter that I'm going to send them, and then I want them to sign it, scan it, send it back to me on there. And then all I would have to do is click on Send Request, because we already have our firm information on there. And now if I click on the Client Detail page in the Request tab, I can see what's going on. So what do I need? I need stuff that was this was actually completed, and I can see there, this one expired 48 days ago because she did not do what she was supposed to do. And if I'm looking for this information, I mean, I have this, this is another thing, is that I can, if they, maybe they drop off the statements and I scan them in or take a picture of them, I can actually upload the document. And now on the Client Detail page, I have a fourth tab that's called Documents, and I can actually create folders on here and share them with different team members and look and see what's in our folder. So if I click on, oh, no documents here shared with Stacy. How about Jessica? See if we have any in here. Oh, we've got the whole headshot. So we've got that information there. And I like this because I don't know about you, but what happens with me is that if somebody sends me a document in an email, in a regular email, not a request from QBOA, if I don't download it right away and save it to their client folder, I'm really scrambling to go back and find it again, right? I'm looking through all my emails with paper clips because sometimes the title doesn't really have anything to do, the email has anything to do with the document itself. So now I can put all this information all in one place to share with my team members, and it's easy peasy, simple, really easy to do there. So again, the client detail page, we've got really good information. Now, I can customize what I show here, and this is true in QBO itself. We have what we call the baby gear icon, but it's the list settings icon. So I can say what columns do I actually want to see. I can also say if I want to see inactive. I can say how many rows I want to see. I can say whether it is compact. So another question you may have is, well, how do I make a client inactive? All I need to do is click on the client detail page, so click on the client itself, and under my Edit Client drop-down, I can say Make Inactive. Now, making inactive does not cancel the subscription. It just takes them off the list for both you and your team members, so for everybody, right? But we have that ability to make them inactive. So we only have 4. Let's just see if we say include inactive, we got a lot more listed there, right? And I'm going to take that off. So we have the active ones there. I think that's all I want to say about QBOA. Oh, we've got another CPE keyword I have to tell you. So our second CPE keyword is the word Hulk. Yeah, we need a picture of this one. Definitely need a picture of this one. So our second CPE keyword is Hulk. Please write that down on there. Hulk is the second CPE keyword. Second CPE keyword, Hulk, going once, Hulk, going twice, Hulk. We are moving off of this slide. So let's talk about the different subscription levels. So there are 3 different subscription levels, and there's the supplemental guide, which goes that there are guides for this fundamentals sessions. So this one and then next session, which is a combination of parts 2 and parts 3. So there's supplemental guides that will give you a step-by-step there. So take a look at those, and they'll give you really good information. Now, 3 levels: Simple Start, Essentials, and Plus. Remember in Simple, when we added a client in QBOA, we didn't have a choice of Simple Start, and there's a reason for that. Simple Start is 1 user, plus the 2 accounting type users, but 1 user. And because somebody has to be the admin and we're adding it, the 1 user is typically the client on there. So 1 user plus 2 accountant users. You typically think about it for your solopreneur because it's 1 user. The good thing is that they can track their receivables. They can create estimates. They can create invoices. They can receive payments. They can make deposits. They cannot track payables. So they can enter their expenses. You know, they can write checks or enter expenses. They just can't enter bills on there. They can sync their bank accounts up. They can add apps to it. And again, like all of the QBO works in PC, Mac, mobile devices. You can add payments. You can add payroll on there. So Simple Start, 1 user plus 2 accounting users. Least amount of reports. Track receivables. Don't track payables. Then you have QuickBooks Online Essentials. So all the Simple Start features, but you have 3 users. You can see this really cool company snapshot, kind of good overview. It adds payables. You can turn on multi-currency in Essentials, which you cannot in a Simple Start on there. You can create recurring transactions. You can control, because you can have more users, you can control somewhat. I mean, the user permissions in QBO are not super granular, but you can kind of do receivables, payables, full access kind of thing. So you can control what users will access. Plus you have the 2 accountant users. And then QBO Plus has the most features. So not only do you have payables, receivables, recurring transactions, multiple currency, you have the ability to turn on inventory, which is FIFO tracking, first in, first out. You have the ability to create purchase orders, to prepare budgets. There are 2 different ways you can do class tracking or location tracking on there. You can do 1099s and print them if you want to e-file them, and that's an extra fee on there. But you can do all of that in QBO Plus. So more reports, most features. Time tracking. Oh, that's the other thing with QBO Plus, is it is 5 users kind of out of the box, not that it's a box, but 5 users plus 2 accounting type users, but up to 25 users, and unlimited time tracking only and unlimited reports only users. So your solopreneur, if they need their subcontractors to track time, and I ran into this with an acquaintance of my son's who started his business, and my son says, "Oh, talk to my mom. She's a QuickBooks person." And so when we spoke, he had only him access to QuickBooks, but he had a lot of subcontractors, and he was invoicing his customer for the hours that they worked. So they were giving him their time on paper or in Excel, and he was having to re-input it to invoice the customers, and then, of course, he has to pay them for the work on there. And if he wanted to do any kind of job costing, he would have to enter the customer information, which he can't really do in Simple Start on there. So he was Simple Start to start with, but I said that I think it'd be worth your time and investment to upgrade to QBO Plus, because in QBO Plus, you can invite them as time trackers, and then you can kind of review their time, bring it onto an invoice, pay them for that time. So when you're looking at what level subscription you're going to put your clients in, you are looking at number of users and what features do they need. Now remember wholesale pricing, and there's videos available. You can look in your supplemental guide for more information on that. The other thing to be aware of is that there is a data conversion tool that will help you if you have QuickBooks Desktop clients that you want to move onto QBO. So you can actually move desktop clients from Mac, from Pro, Premier, and really you can from Enterprise on there. So there's a URL in your supplemental guide to get more information on converting QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online. And the process is pretty simple. And the cool thing is when you go through the process, there are links to trial version of QuickBooks 15 online. There are links to articles that say, hey, here's what you should be doing. So, what do you need to check in the QuickBooks Desktop file before you do the conversion? What kinds of things you check after to do after you've done the conversion, to make sure that conversion is successful on there. So it's really, really great information. Really good information there. So, what kind of support do we have? Well, we do have support. So the care team, which is the tech support, but because they care, they call them the care team on there. Free tech support. So any QuickBooks Online problem that you have, you can call the 888-333-3451, or I showed you how you could do live chat from within QBOA. Then you have the sales team if you need to talk to them. And there is tons of in-product help. So look in there. what I also suggest that you do is sign up for the QBO or subscribe to the QBO blog. Because the QBO blog, the thing about QBO is it's subscription-based. So that means that every 4 to 6 weeks they put new features in. And the QBO blog people make sure that we know what's going on with QBO, so we know what the new features are that are happening. So that's good. And then remember where I showed you QuickBooks.com under the Accountants drop-down menu? Under that, there's also, under Learn and Support, there is an Accountant University. So look and see what webinars are being offered, what live presentations are being there, so that you can just expand your knowledge and make you a hero in your client's eyes. So the next session that we have is QBO Fundamentals. Second, it's really parts 2 and parts 3 combined into one long session. So setting up and managing your firm's books. So I hope that you attend that. And what are your next steps? If you're not signed up for QBOA, go ahead and get signed up for QBOA. And then complete this fundamentals training. So you've done part 1, and then if you attend the next session, that will be parts 2 and parts 3 on there. So basically, we have gone through the benefits of QBOA and the features and signing up and locating your books and determining the next steps for using QuickBooks Online. And I hope that you enjoyed this webinar.